One, two, one, two. We are back. Sneaks, Runs, and Light is back in the building. It's been a couple weeks. I know I've been traveling. It's on vacation, had a staycation. Ghost came through. Crazy show. We're going to get to that at some point in the very near future. But yeah, we got to keep this 23 till infinity tribute to the 12 favorite albums that I have this year. So we're going to have to get in. So thank you for everyone listening. Thank you for your patience. Hit the subscribe button, share with a friend. It will be on YouTube, Apple Music, iHeartRadio, Google, Spotify, of course. So however you can get it in. So this is of the 12 episodes that we're going to do once per month. We are going to get the sixth, and then quickly we will get into the seventh one. So, we've had some nice ones already, and I'm just going to go consult the list really quick. So, January we gave you 21 and over. February we gave you Enter the Stage. March we gave you Balloon Mind State by De La Soul. April we gave you No Pressure by Eric Sermon. May we gave you 93 Till Infinity, the incredible album by Souls of Mischief. Got to spend some time with those guys as they hit town in June in Toronto. So we were at episode 6, and we got some good ones still happening. But this episode, we have to talk about no one else other than one and only Lawrence Parker. Who's Lawrence Parker? You don't know? You don't know who Lawrence Parker. We call him by many, many other names. But we'll go first and foremost. We call him Chris. We call him Blastmaster Chris. We call him Teacher. We call him Crash because the cartoon that it, the creator of the Temple of Hip Hop. Well, we just call him KRS-One. So KRS-One, who is getting to his 60s almost, still performing, still representing the South Bronx. He was born in Brooklyn, for those that didn't know. So we are going to talk about the Blastmaster KRS-One. What did the Blastmaster KRS-One do? He gave us his first solo album. No, now hold on. Don't get all into a fit and all the other things. But we know that he gave us a few other albums prior to that. So there was the whole Boogie Down Productions collection. So there's 5 albums that came out. Number one of the greatest albums of all time. It changed the game in 87, Criminal Minded. Then we got By All Means Necessary. Then we got Get In Music, a blueprint of hip hop. We got that a year later. So 3 years, 3 albums. Then we got Edutainment. Then we got Sex and Violence 2 years later in 92. It's like, oh, Sex and Violence. People say, oh, Chris is falling off. Chris is this. Chris is that. Then we got in 1993, teamed up with several producers, including the legendary, my favorite producer, DJ Premier. So that is when that album came out. We're going to probably give this a little soundtrack. We'll play this a little bit in the background because this is one of the best albums that definitely came out in 1993. So, hey, let's give you a quick spin on KRS-One. I told you about the 5 album. What does KRS-One stands for? Knowledge reigns supreme over nearly everyone. That's what it stands for. People call him the teacher. So he's come up with some of the most incredible songs. He is definitely one of the teachers, the godfathers, the gatekeepers of what real hip hop. He's come up with 20 plus albums. I think he's got like 25, 26 albums that he's come up with. He's collaborated with so many different people. And you know what? KRS-One is one of the most iconic people. I'm very fortunate, super excited. It's only like 5 days away. They're doing the Hip Hop 50 show. It's hitting Detroit. I'm in Toronto. For many of my listeners know, I'm hitting the show. What's that show all about? So we're bringing the legends to celebrate the 50 years of hip hop. Not all of them. I know there's the big New York Yankees Field show, but this one, This is like literally without Nas, this is my dream concert. So we have EPMD, Slick Rick, Dougie Fresh. We have Rakim. Who am I missing? Oh, Big Daddy Kane, and we finish off with KRS-One. So KRS-One, you know, his for those that knew his DJ, it was his brother, Scott LaRock, and unfortunately, Scott LaRock was killed, shortly after Criminal Minded dropped. It led to, KRS-One carrying the torch. And Criminal Minded was one of the most iconic albums because of the change in style. He added a Caribbean flavor. He had some hard-hitting lyrics. The Bridge Is Over is one of the best diss songs we've ever heard. And he went at the Squad from Queens, otherwise known as the Druscos, particularly MC Shan, who made the song previously, The Bridge, with Marley Marl on the board. So, after some turmoil and strife, with the Stop the Violence movement, because too many people dying, and obviously KRS-One's brother, Scott LaRock, was definitely a victim to what happened. So we ultimately come to, what is KRS-One going to do with his career? Obviously some amazing things that he was able to accomplish, but now we kind of get to the curation of this album. So, as I said, Return of the Boom Bap is the debut solo album for the rapper KRS-One on his own. No Boogie Down Productions, kind of leaves that in the background. He is still with Jive Records. He recorded it. Obviously, how did Primo get involved? Well, it got kind of recorded in the best studio ever. Now it's not there anymore, but it's the legendary D&D studio at the Battered House Studios in New York. He had Kid Capri, he had Caudy, he had Showbiz. Even KRS-One started to dabble into the production. And we had, obviously, as I've said, the legendary DJ Premier. So it debuted number 5 on the hip hop chart. It was like 37 on the Billboard 200. It had 2 significant singles, Out of Here, The Sound of the Police. Many people, if you kind of look at the album and you look at the tracks, what are the songs that jump out? Out of Here, which was a single, which was crazy. We had Black Cop, we had Sound of the Police, and we still go, whoop, whoop. That's the Sound of the Police. We still do that to this day. We have we had Mad Crew, we had Return of the Boom Bap, we had P is Free, we had Still Free. So this is an amazing project. We look at how it got rated. We think of, we got to go to the source. What did the source say? I think the source only gave this 4.5. 4 out of 5 mics. Now, respectable 4.5 mics. Is this a 5.5, a 5 out of 5 mic album? I'm not sure. But I would tell you, this is a quality project. Me personally, I would have given this 4.5. Probably just misses. There's a couple songs that just don't qualify to call it an all-time great classic. We put 5 out of 5. But yeah, you look at Chicago Tribune, gave it 3 out of 4 stars. All Music, not really fan of their rating. 3 out of 5. We had Rolling Stone give it a 4 out of 5. The Rolling Stone album guy gave it 3.5 or 3 out of 5. The Village Voice gave it an A-. It's probably where it needs to be, just under being a classic. So when we think about this album, it had the 2 singles, but it's very unique that the song Black Cop actually got used in the movie CD4 on the soundtrack. This was definitely recognized as one of the best albums in 1993. When I think it was the Source did its 100 best albums, it definitely made the list. I think the album didn't go gold, probably sold about 300,000 records. Now, things are obviously a lot different now and how things are streamed, but this is like 300 vinyl, tape, and then ultimately CD. So this is a pretty great accomplishment all on its own. I've bigged up DJ Premier many times. So already in this episode, so KRS-One Attacks, he produced Out of Here. I Can't Wake Up, which is an incredibly clever song where KRS-One talks about him being a blunt, and he gets passed around from Teddy Ted to Chubb Rock to so many other people. Obviously, Redman gets to take a hit. So there's that song. Sound of the Police. Big credit to Showbiz from Showbiz and AG, who absolutely knocked that song out of the park. KRS-One jumped on. He did Mad Crew. He did Uh-Oh. He did Return of the Boom Bap on his own. Primo also did Higher Level and The P Is Still Free. KRS-One also did produce Black Ops. So there's quite a collaboration. Not a lot of producers, but I think the quality, that KRS-One was able to come and put together on the boards really gave him the opportunity to talk about how things are in the Black community. He's very pro-Black. He talks about the Black violence that's happening with the police. He definitely talked about, obviously the struggles that he had and how he easily could have just shut down and not produced anything else. But this catapulted him into another stratosphere of stardom, because then, ultimately we got the KRS-One self-titled album. And then we end up getting so many other records from KRS-One. It's pretty amazing that this guy's been able to catapult his career. We got I Got Next, and then, KRS-One went on an unbelievable run to create 20 plus albums. Like outside, I actually, I think KRS-One probably is at the top of the list in terms of the most amount of hip hop albums actually created by one artist. Call it as a group. There's most artists don't even get to 10. To even have someone that got to 20 is incredible. And we don't have Jay-Z or Kanye or, there's a lot of people that have been making music for 20 plus years, and they're not at 20 records. They're not even at 15 or 16. Nas is at 17 records. But to have, I think he's got 26 albums, is absolutely incredible. So KRS's voice, his style, how he embraces his Jamaican roots, makes him such a unique artist. He's one to always teach. He's one to give us perspective and really to challenge his listeners just to think about the world and how it operates and how things are currently and how things can ultimately get better. I'm going to drop a story. I want to tell you, it's the I Got Next album. I had an opportunity as the Temple of Hip Hop started to be created. I got a chance to meet KRS-One. You're telling me, yeah, there's no way. There's no way. So here's my story. Way back, the internet finally started and chat groups kind of, fully got, I was in college. And a friend of mine, Jeff Reynolds, shout out Jeff, he got in a chat group about hip hop at school, and they were kind of chatting. And then the chat group kind of shifted and said, hey, anyone interested in supporting the Temple of Hip Hop? They're looking for some volunteers. And KRS-One. Jeff got excited. He immediately told me, and we talked about how we would go and meet up and just hand out these flyers. Well, KRS-One was going to be there. He was actually doing a public speaking event about the temple, about empowering black men and women. So this is pretty cool. This is right up my alley, and I'm in college. I'm 22, 23 years old. So this is exactly where I want to be, and help support this. So the conference happened. He's an amazing speaker. We handed out flyers the whole time, and engaged with people and said, hey, go Google this or go look this up on the internet. And if you want to sign up, the next time you're in the Bronx, it's their business, go and visit and see what they're creating there. Ultimately was open several years later. Well, after this conference, we're outside and we know he's got a show. It's like, yo, we got to buy tickets to the show. KRS is crazy. We got to see him actually perform the music. And his road manager comes out and says, yo, really appreciate you guys handing out all of these flyers. KRS-One wants to go eat at the Chinese spot down the street. You guys want to reach? And we go, what? KRS-One wants to go eat with us, with me, Jeff, and another friend of his that he met in the chat group. We said, of course, if KRS-One is actually going to be there, we'll go. And we're hungry anyway, so we go in regardless. So, sure enough, we pull up, we sit at a table, place is half empty, round table at 8, and then we see KRS. And I never seen KRS-One in my life with my own eyes and never realized how tall. Dude is crazy. He's like 6'4", 6'5", and he's thick. So KRS-One and his people and his road manager sit down. There's 8 of us at the table. KRS-One sat and we talked and we ate. And I'll qualify. KRS-One talked and ate. We ate and listened. So he told us everything and anything about him. It was one of the most amazing experiences of my whole life. At the end of this 2-hour dinner, and you can't get a word. KRS-One just talks and talks, and that's again. He's the teacher, and I'm here to take the lecture in. I'm totally blown away of what I'm seeing. Ultimately, at the end of this, like, yo, if you guys want to come back tomorrow at the show and hand out flyers, you guys get to watch the show for free. We really need your support. And it's like, are you kidding me? We were going to buy tickets as soon as we went home. We're going to try and go run up the ticket or to play the record or tracks, whichever one still had tickets to the show. We just got to hand out flyers again. Bet. So we hand out flyers the next day. We see the show. Show was incredible. I never knew how good or how amazing KRS-One was as a live performer. He sounds exactly the same. His mannerisms, his energy is second to none. I can't wait to see him on Saturday. But that's my KRS-One story. So I got to have dinner with KRS-One and some of my peoples. But yeah, Return of the Boom Bap is an incredible album. Definitely top 12 of the year. We're going to give this to you podcast as soon as possible. Thank you, everyone, for listening. It's 50 years of hip-hop. It's so amazing that 50 years of hip-hop have actually happened. This was supposed to be a fad. This is something that people said is just going to go away. It hasn't. It's only stronger. We have multiple generations of hip-hop happening. We still have the Godfathers and the original OG still perform. We have the golden era still pumping out music. We have the 2000s like 50 doing his final lap tour. And then we have all the new school like Cole and obviously Drake and Benny the Butcher and so many other, Freddie Gibbs, so many other people that are now taking today's culture and moving it forward. So we're in a very special place, 50 years of hip hop. Thank you for listening to Steam Strimes in Life. I'm your host, Lionel McDonald. We out.